of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. I begin this morning by reading from Meditations of the Heart. Are you a reservoir, or are you a canal or a swamp? The distinction is literal. The function of a canal is to channel water. It is a device by which water may move from one place to another in an orderly and direct manner. It holds water in a temporary sense only. It holds it in transit from one point to another. The function of the reservoir is to contain, to hold water. It is a large receptacle designed for that purpose, whether it is merely an excavation in the earth or some vessel especially designed. It is a place in which water is stored in order that it may be available when needed. In it, provisions are made for outflow and inflow. A swamp differs from either. A swamp has an inlet, but no outlet. Water flows into it, but there is no provision made for water to flow out of it. The result? The water rots, and many living things die. Often there is a strange and death-like odor that pervades the atmosphere. The water is alive, but apt to be rotten. There is life in a swamp, but it is stale. The dominant trend of a man's life may take on the characteristics of a canal, a reservoir, or a swamp. The important accent is on the dominant trend. There are some lives that seem ever to be channels, canals through which things flow. They are connecting links between other people, movements, purposes. They make the network by which all kinds of communications are possible. They seem to be adept at relating needs to sources of help, friendlessness to friendliness. Of course, the peddler of gossip is also a canal. If you are a canal, what kind of things do you connect? Or are you a reservoir? Are you a resource which may be drawn upon in times of others' needs and your own as well? Have you developed a method for keeping your inlet and your outlet in good working order so that the cup which you give is never empty? As a reservoir, you are a trustee of all the gifts God has shared with you. You know they are not your own. Are you a swamp? Are you always reaching for more and more, hoarding whatever comes your way as your special belongings? If so, do you wonder why you are friendless? Why the things you touch seem ever to decay? A swamp is a place where living things often sicken and die. The water in a swamp has no outlet. Canal, reservoir, or swamp? Which is it? Do you think that your life belongs to you, that you may do with your life whatever you please? Or is there some riding sense of overall responsibility which you hold towards life for the life that is your particular and your private portion? If your life is like a swamp, it means that you are always reaching and grasping and trying to pull into your place everything. You do not regard your life in any sense as a trustee, but it is a place that is your private domain into which you bring all the things with no responsibility beyond the getting of them. It is like a friend of mine who took a trip around the world, and when he came back, he had 2 albums full of snapshots. And the refrain was something like this. Here is a picture of me standing in front of the Sphinx. Here is a picture of me in front of Notre Dame. Here is a picture of me on a canal in Italy. Always me, 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 me. Is your life like that? So that you are grasping, always pulling into yourself, hoarding everything, so that all of your friends, all of the people by whom you're surrounded recognize that whenever they see you coming, they know they had better lay hold with a tight grasp on anything that is movable, because you are reaching to take everything for yourself. And if this is the way your life is, then it means that more and more things begin to go stale inside of you. A swamp is a place where things die and rot, where the birds move away because their young ones die, where the mist hangs heavy during moonlit nights so that the moon never shines there, where in the long days the sun never reaches, everything smothers and dies. Is your life like that? Or is your life a reservoir, a kind of cistern that brings into it all kinds of things that are part of the living fabric of your living experience from day to day? And these things, in some sense, are sorted, are arranged, are ordered in order that in your other contexts you may be outgoing, there may be flowing from your life things that bless and help and heal. Now this cannot be true for you unless you have found a key to the renewing of your life, some means, techniques, devices by which you are capable of tapping resources, and you draw upon these resources into yourself. When I was a boy, I kept my bicycle in repair, and the 2 most important tools that I had was what we called a Stilson wrench, a kind of wrench that the opening could be graduated to fit various kinds of bolts. And the other was a spoke wrench. The rim of the wheels were made out of wood in that far-off moment, so that often in the sun and the rain the rim would warp, and it became necessary often to take the spoke wrench and tighten some spokes and loosen others. We called it truing the rim. Now, if your life is to move in the sense of which I'm thinking, that there is the movement, the creative intaking and outgoing of the reservoir, there must be something available to you by which you true your life, by which you regulate your life. And one of the most important devices, means, experiences through which we pass in order to do this is to take time to cultivate resources. One of these resources is quiet and meditation. Taking time out from the traffic of your days, from the involvements of your life, to be quiet, to be alone, to be still and experience in the stillness the rising of the living waters in your own spirit. Another is to acquaint yourself with some of the great ideas and the great concepts and the great words that have been useful in the history of the race in calling attention to a deeper dimension of man's life than his little days and his little years. The Bible is full of such material. Those who find strength there may turn to some of the great Psalms. He prepareth a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. He anointeth my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Are those great prayers of the Bible, or prayers of the great religions? In other words, each of us must find a resource that we can tap, that we can draw upon to fill our lives with living water, so that there will be an outgoing from us to irrigate many parched places, so that all who know us will find in us a benediction, breathing peace. Are you a canal, a reservoir, or are you a swamp? Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer.